Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Happy and blessed Monday, and welcome to episode 601, 601 of the Welcome to Asgard podcast, where tonight we got a lot to talk about. We have not had a stream here on the channel since the Raven Awards, which was last Sunday, so not yesterday, but the Sunday previous to that. Took Friday off because obviously we had a pretty long show for our Raven Awards. By the way, thank you to everyone out there who made the Raven Awards so successful. I also wanted just to once again shout out a couple of people who last week were very supportive. So Laura, thank you again for your $50 donation via Streamlabs. But then also Mr. Roy as well. Thank you for your $100 super chat 8 days ago. Where you said, great show. Hopefully 2026 won't be so bad for movies. And guess what? Turns out, we're right now, at least with one movie, looking at a pretty solid film. Now, I will say, my views and my review of the film is probably going to be a little bit different than what many others have been giving for the film. I'll give more context to that, and obviously I'll give my full thoughts on it as well. But what we can say is, without any shadow of a doubt, this box office that is being reported, right? This box office that is coming forward about Project Hail Mary is really impressive. And we'll, of course, give all the details on that. We'll continue to be honest, as we always are, when it comes to the fact that, as impressive as this is, the movie still has a very long way to go before it reaches profitability. That's the other thing to keep in mind, is you can have an opening weekend that far exceeds any projections and any predictions, but if you're not able to make back your budget, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. So we'll talk about what the realistic scenario is for the movie. What are the chances for the film to maybe be able to make its money back? What are some things that we can expect? What are some things that are likely to happen with it? So obviously, we'll talk about this. We'll also give a couple other updates on box office. Of course, my chart is still not quite where it should be because of the numbers.com. Still can't believe that their servers are still down as far as the functionality and functionability of the website, right? It's just kind of crazy. So continuing to use Box Office Mojo, I'm now having to update my chart to utilize the data from Box Office Mojo once again, which I don't like doing because Box Office Mojo is notorious for not reporting numbers, misreporting numbers, making a lot of mistakes. And though all sites can do this, right, data entry mistakes happen all the time, it's a lot less likely on the numbers.com usually. But again, if it's down, it's down. And Megacon was this weekend. We had a pretty darn good time. Got in Thursday last week. Wasn't able to do a whole lot on Thursday, right? Because it was a pretty long drive. Got in pretty late, but I was there all day Friday. Got to meet some people at the booth, at the Rippaverse booth. Shout out to the Rippaverse team, by the way, for hosting all of us at their booth. It was, again, a great experience there, and got to meet some people. Got to meet people at the con, and then probably the highlight of the entire trip for me was Universal, and I'll give some more information on that as we catch up with the chat. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you smash the rumble button as well. And yes, I am rocking my glasses tonight because my eye is still giving me problems. I don't know what's going on with it. But last week, as you all know, I mentioned it, that my eye was having some random issues, was putting in my eye drops. It cleared up. Doctor said nothing looked wrong. And then all of a sudden, literally right before I'm leaving for the trip, as I'm on the road for the trip, it starts acting up again. And it's not pink eye. It's, I've been told it's not a cut on the eye either. But I'm starting to wonder if there's something else going on because, it's in the same exact spot, the same overall effect. And it's not comfortable. I don't like having to wear my glasses more than I have to. But let's say hello to some people. And don't worry, Divers1990, who is Guillermo Gage, I see your your long list of super chats. I will get to them. Don't worry. A couple of them are very outdated too. So again, kind of a little confused on that, but we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. Anyway, starting off, Kincaid and Rumsky had just one comment before Divers 1990 starts. So Kincaid and Rumsky says, re-injured an old knee injury. Will do my best to be there tonight, but may need to rest or recover. I'll do my best not to let you down. I know how sad you get when I'm not there. I am always sad, Kincaid and Rumsky, when you're not here. And if it's a knee injury, just prop up the computer as you rest, man. Come on. Or put it on the TV. There we go. Divers 1990. Thank you for becoming a member at the Keeper of the Bifrost level. Appreciate you, Guillermo Gage. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Make sure that you are a part of the Discord server. Check out the link in the video description to join the Discord server. Make yourself known, because Keeper of the Bifrost level members get access to a special Discord channel. So be sure to do that. And here begins the list. Okay. Divers 1990. Says, I sent $10 across these 5 messages, so if you read them out quick in less than 5 minutes, you will be rewarded. I feel like it's either a challenge or I don't know, but I guess I will do my best. Diver1990 then says, Shorty Short, Flow is only 83 minutes long. That makes it easier to prioritize on your watch list. That's a message for Laura. Yes. It's a short film. It's phenomenal. It's easy to get through in that way. All right. So I got that one. He then goes on. 2, I would have voted Train Dreams as my number 1 movie if I had seen it earlier. You might like it, Odin. It really didn't stand a chance over Weapons anyway in the Best Picture race nominees. Maybe for you. I've only gotten to start Train Dreams, so I've not watched the entirety of it, but I was really liking what I was seeing. It's got a good cast. Number 3, I think the Ravens voting ends like 4 days before Sunday. It's already over. Because you need time to count the votes. I'll prioritize the Ravens' best movie of the year 2025 nominees I haven't seen. Again, not sure what's going on there. Divers 1990 again. Hoppers is the highest grossing opening weekend original Pixar movie of the past 10 years. We talked about this also. A lot of just stuff we've already covered. And again, yes, but remember, that's not adjusting for inflation. So that's why I don't like to run with those things, because if you really wanted to, anything could be a record. Anything could be like, this is the highest second Tuesday of the month, or this is the highest ever third Wednesday of the month to ever happen on a leap year. You can make up any records that you want for anything. My issue ultimately, and this is with films I both like and dislike, because there's a lot of stuff being put out there about Project Hail Mary, which again is a film in general that I like and I absolutely support, but it drives me crazy when they're like, oh man, the highest grossing original opening domestic weekend. It's like, okay, but here's the thing. That's without, and that's by ignoring inflation and ticket sales. Not saying it's not impressive. Obviously, I literally started the video with saying it was impressive. But the whole like, oh, highest grossing, it's like, again, no. Let's see what it made. Let's see what it was expected to make. Did it do better than expected? In the case of Hoppers, it did. Let's see how it holds. In the case of Hoppers, it's holding really well. That is what we look to. Everything else is just nonsense. So, anyway. He then goes on to say, let's see, because most of them have been sequels or released direct to streaming. It's just like Elemental, Elio, and Hoppers, and Coco. That was also original. Apparently had a smaller opening weekend than Hoppers, but Hoppers isn't going to make as much as Coco in the end. Yeah, probably not. And then here are the actual super chats. Thank you for the $5 super chat saying, thanks. If you read all these messages, you were unable to see or read on March 9th. You were paid $10 for them. Here's some more dough. Nothing showed up on my end, so I don't know when those were supposedly having come through. If they were the ones that, because again, I'm pretty sure I've always read every single thing that's ever come through on stream. So again, I'm a little confused by all this, man. Oh, let's see. Also, I was the disqualified voter at the Ravens. I refused to vote on the 3 movies I didn't see. Sorry, next year, maybe. No, the person that got disqualified was the one who... Let me see. No, someone else got disqualified, actually. Because, yeah, if you didn't fill out all of the things, then it didn't even show up. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that was disqualified, but there was one person who actually won and ended up getting disqualified, but they were honest, so I thank them. I won't call them out in that way, but yeah, let's just say they put the same number several times, but don't worry, we got it all figured out already. Okay, now back to the regular chat. Snorapoopus, hello, humans and other quitters. What's going on, Snorapoopus? Welcome. He then says hello to me. And then Guillermo Gage once again says, oh, actually, you were paid $8 overall. It was $2 and $1 on Rumble. You'll be busy with Project Hail Mary. Bye for now. Well, thank you for another $5 super chat. And thanks for becoming a member on the channel. Kelly Chow saying, how are you, Thor, Freya, Baby Sif doing? Also, how was your weekend? Weekend was very, very busy. But overall, it went pretty well. We'll get into it after I get caught up with everybody. Let's see. Jeremy Zukowski, what's going on? Evening, Odin. Everyone on here, good evening to you. Is Rocky on tonight? Prince Screen, hail Odin in chat. Hail to you, Prince Screen. Thanks for being in the chat. Banjo Sandwich, hope you had fun at the con. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It's always fun meeting the people, talking with y'all. Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's so funny because, I mentioned this to some of the people there because, Jeremy likes to bring this up all the time. He always likes to bring up the first con I ever went to, which was Star Wars Celebration Chicago. And I remember we had, parked in basically the middle of the road. This was not a busy street for the record, but it was not a parking spot. It was not even the side of the road. It was, we were in the right lane and we just parked and it was underneath the convention center or whatever. And then he's like, oh, hey, Odin, can you hold down the fort for a second? I'm going to go grab, these two people that we were with. And then just leaves me in the car. And then he leaves the keys so that way if I need to move the car, and it's his truck, by the way, then I can. And I'm just like, what the heck? Because I'm like, okay, I hardly know you. This is the first time that I think we had maybe met in person, maybe the second time. And then he had trusted me with his truck. And then in addition to all of that, I was left alone and there were cars still around moving. And at one point there was a car waiting behind my car and was like, what the heck are you doing? And I'm just like, this isn't my car. So social anxiety got really, really ramped up. And so that was not a fun experience, that first con. And then, of course, in the con, it's just packed with people. There's people everywhere. And luckily, though, I was with amazing people. Once I was there and once, I found my group, everything was much better. Once I knew people there, I was actually okay with it. It was the initial part because before all this stuff happened with this car, right, before Jeremy abandoned me, I had gotten to the con, but I didn't know where anyone was. Right. And I had no idea where to find anybody. It was massive. I was trying to figure out where to go. And I was like, okay, I hope they can bring this stuff in with me. And it was very, very confusing. And in that way, right, became that much more anxious. But once I found the people, I was okay. I was fine. And ever since then, it's just gotten easier and easier because now it's I get to these crowds and I still don't like the crowds. Megacon especially is way, way overcrowded. They oversell those tickets and I think it's a problem because it makes it so that Saturday is just, again, if you're going specifically for the con, I don't see how the con by itself is fun. Walking the floor because it's just wall to wall people. It was better this year than last year because apparently last year we were in a smaller building on the campus. And so this was a much better space for that reason, but it was still packed. But that's just cons in general, I think. Sorapoopus, hail to you. Glad to see you here. The Morak hanging out in the chat. What's going on, Morak? Hail to you. Morak, who is a member, also saying here, Hail Mighty Odin, saw Project Hail Mary twice last week and looking for another time to see it this weekend. Fantastic movie. It's a movie that I do want to see again, but I do have some issues. But don't worry. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Thanos Felicitas, what's going on? And thank you for being here. Thank you for always saying hello. I need to get to a super chat real quick. And oh, Lord, Steven's here. Steven, by the way, if I skip some of your questions, it's because either you've asked them before or I just don't want to talk about it tonight. I'm just going to be honest. Anyway, someone I'm happy to read right now is XVoot85. What's going on, XVoot? Thank you for the $5 super chat. Saying, long time no see, Odin. Great to be back. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on Universal. Definitely my favorite theme park out there. Well, XVoot, thank you for your super chat. And hey, because you've asked in a super chat, I will go ahead and let's just shift to that right now. So yeah, my favorite part of the entire weekend, other than of course the meetups, right? But it was a meetup in and of itself too, was Universal. So basically the way that it worked is that we had the ability, because we were going to Megacon, to get a ticket for Universal after hours on Friday. So I had not heard of this before. Apparently, Megacon's been doing this now for at least since last year. Maybe it's been every year. I think one of the issues is that they've done it maybe most years, and I typically, because of the time, only have ever been able to get in on Friday. And since I'm usually working at school, I hit the road. I'm not getting in until maybe 11 p.m. or later, or maybe a slightly earlier. And so it's never been on my radar. It's never been in the cards for me to be able to do that. This year, because of spring break, I actually was able to leave Thursday morning, got in Thursday night, not as late as usual, but also, again, with plenty of time. Friday was able to do pretty much everything. And hey, guess what? That means my entire Friday night was open to do FNT. And then, of course, also to be able to do the Universal event as well. So anyway, when you went to MegaCon, having that ticket, you were then able to get a separate ticket for Universal after hours. And it was about like $100. I think with taxes, maybe it was like closer to $120. But basically, it was a ticket to the park. You could use the ticket after 5 p.m. So the park was still open to everybody at that point, but you could still get in, right? You could get your night started early, right? By getting in the park then. There was like this transition period where you had obviously Megacon people coming in, but then also the park was closing to the regular visitors. And then around like maybe 7 or so, that's when they started to, weed out and push out the regular people, because that's when the typical park closes. And that's when they started to check your wristbands and make sure that you were where you needed to be. And from that point, it was just Megacon people that were actually in the park. And again, maybe I have those times messed up. I don't have them memorized. But when I first got there, it was cool because I actually as soon as I got into the gate, I ran into a group. I ran into a group of fans, ran into a group of people who were there supporting Geeks and Gamers and FNT. And so I was able to hang out with them for a little bit. We, just walked along to different rides. We actually went to... the first thing that we did was we went on the Hogwarts Express, which I had never been on before. I've mentioned this sometimes. Like I'm a roller coaster guy. I'm a roller coaster enthusiast. I love them. My favorite park is Cedar Point. I've been to Kings Island, Kings Dominion, several Six Flags. Obviously Disney, Universal too. But it's been about maybe 10 years since I've been to Universal, because we used to go with my family all the time. And then once, everyone started having kids and those kids were getting older, it just became unfeasible for us to continue to do that. And so we haven't really done it since. And so it's been about 10 years. And so a lot of things have changed. Some things I think for the worse, but some things for the better. One of the things that they've done very well, Universal, is everything they've done with Harry Potter. Like everything they've done with Harry Potter has just been done so well. Especially if you're a movie fan, right? Because it's obviously made for the movie fans, but they've got stuff in there too that I think book fans can enjoy as well. My wife loves it, for instance, and she's a massive book fan. So we are able to start off there, the Hogwarts Express, and it's just so cool. It's like this very short, very just bare bones train ride. And basically they use it as a way to get you from one park to the next, right? So you got Universal Studios and then you got Isles of Adventure. They're two different parks. And you take the Express to get you between basically the Harry Potter worlds that are in both of those parks. So that's very nifty. They do that. And then there's this whole little, like the windows are screens. And so there's this whole sequence that plays out while you're riding the train. Next to you, there's the door to the hallway, and they have like these shadows of the different characters talking to each other and everything. At one point, it's funny because you see what looks to be people peeking into your cabin as well, and it's just like, oh, that's actually pretty nifty that they do that, right? So something that obviously I think kids and huge fans, especially of the movies and books, would really get a kick out of, and I think really appreciate too. And from there, we do, I think with them, the first thing that we did was Gringotts. I'd never done the Gringotts ride before. It was fine. It was not my favorite. It's just like Spider-Man in a lot of ways. If you've ever been on the Spider-Man ride at Isles of Adventure before, where most of it is just basically the simulation of movement. It's a little bit more like a roller coaster because there actually is, the car itself does move a little bit more than the one at Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's on a track too, so it's similar, but it's because of that not my favorite, but still fun. Like the theme is what makes that ride a lot of fun. Everything leading up to it, you of course go through these things. It's so well done. It's just so well executed. And the one thing that I think the Harry Potter part of of Universal has that it's been very effective in is in the theming, right? In the theming of Harry Potter, you just feel like you are walking into Hogwarts. You feel like you're walking into that world, and it's just beautifully done, right? There's just so many little things. The entrance to Diagon Alley is fantastic, right? There's just so many of those little details that I think are really, really appreciative. So anyway, we did that for a little bit. Eventually found out, okay, we got people coming in from Geeksy Gamers and the actual hey, let's actually find a place to actually meet up. So we ran into a couple of other groups. We did a couple other rides. We did the Transformers ride. The Transformers ride is also just like Spider-Man. So not nearly as much of a roller coaster as Gringotts is, but very similar in its general style. That one was fun. That one was fine. Got to do that one with Jay and a couple other people. Blaine from Criticless, of course, was there. That was fun to meet up with him again. And once we got into the big group, it was a lot of waiting. That was probably my least favorite part. Was we were just sitting waiting for people to show up and figure out what to do. And the whole time I'm just like, look, we're burning daylight here, guys. Like, we got only so many hours in this park. Let's do something. So we tried to ride Hagrid, as the joke on FNT, right, was for a few weeks, right? And unfortunately, when we first got there, that ride broke down. And it was, it was sad because obviously we were all very excited to do it. Luckily, it wasn't closed for too long, though. And all in all, what I'll say is, obviously a lot of fun, a lot of really great rides. The only ride I was not able to do was Velocicoaster. And unfortunately, it's because the groups that I was with both when I was there early and eventually when we were in the main group, for some reason, they didn't want to go there. They didn't want to do Velocicoaster. They were like, oh, it's not that good. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I kind of want to try it out. And I hear now it's actually, some people really love it. It's like, oh, I wish I was with those people instead, at least for that part. But what I will say is, finally, the Hagrid ride opens, and we get to go in the line. The line's insanely long. I've never seen a line that long before. The amounts of twists and turns, like you've heard of Disney lines before, it's got nothing on this one, man. Like, that's how long it is. But again, there's theming. There's a lot of really cool things to look at, things to see. And then you actually get on the ride, and it's two persons to a car, and one of them is a motorcycle, and the other one is a sidecar. And it's got this interesting loading system where there's like a moving walkway similar to what they have for Haunted Mansion and Disney. It didn't make a lot of sense to me because it's like, I know that you're like keeping things moving, but clearly not everyone can. So you can clearly slow it down and stop it even. So I don't know. I guess it's the perception of it going faster. I don't know. It's like the line was not moving fast enough for what the moving walkway was showing. Once you get on that ride though, when I say, and again, I gave that background earlier, I'm a roller coaster guy. I love theme parks, and my favorite theme park is Cedar Point. Some of my favorite coasters of all time are at that park or in the surrounding area. The Hagrid ride is in my top 5. It was that good. Not only are there several accelerations, like I was kind of like blown away with, like, I've never been on a ride with those many accelerations before, those many launches on a coaster. You had that going for it. You had some really cool, innovative things of, backwards and drops, and it's just like, oh man, this is very well thought out, very well designed. And then it was also dark by the time that we were riding on it, and I was actually with somebody who we were able to get the front car. So I was in the front car, and so we got with where we were, the lights from the front of the motorcycle were actually shining onto the track, which was really, really cool. So that was probably like my favorite overall experience, right? That ride, as far as the Universal night was concerned. But yeah, there was so much stuff to do, and I highly recommend if anyone does Megacon in the future and you're able to make that work, and if they continue to do that into the future, where you get that kind of like that discounted ticket, or rather that the ticket that gives you that after hours access, it's really worth it, because not only do you pay like $100 plus tax, but then you get a $25 gift card to use while you're there. And so you can use that for food. Obviously, it's not going to get you a whole lot because theme park food and everything is overpriced. But still, the fact that you can use it still, it's like, okay, this is technically saving some money. And they know what they're doing with that. So I think it's well worth it. So if you've ever done Megacon before, or you've never been sure about that portion of it, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. So anyway, that was Universal. That was that portion, my favorite part of Megacon. But Megacon overall was great. Got to meet some really awesome people, have more great conversations. Because I was rocking these glasses and I had a backwards hat at one point, I had a lot of people who were like, I didn't even know it was you. It's just like, oh, yes, I'm in my disguise, right? People can't see me. But yeah, it was a blast. The panel went great on Saturday. And got to see Project Hail Mary on Saturday as well. That process, not as much fun. Trying to get the tickets to see the movie, not as much fun. But I won't bore y'all with the details of that. All right. Thank you again for that super chat, man. Appreciate it. Let me head back into the chat since we were able to talk about at least one portion. Jenna Winks are saying, nerd. Short saying, is that a freshly trimmed beard? It is. I got it trimmed right before the trip. 601, I know, it's crazy. It's crazy, Gary of the Banjo Sandwich fame. Crazy. Participation trophy. What? We don't do that. We don't do that here. How dare you? There's Steven. Brocky Man saying, were you at the meetup? You're the only one I didn't get a picture with. Yeah, I was. I was there from the very beginning. Now, in the beginning of the night, I was inside because that whole stuff. Having to move from Pat O'Brien's to Red Coconut. Red Coconut, as you all know, right? I've mentioned this before in last year. It's so hard to hear because it's a club, right? And obviously they're doing everything they can to accommodate us, and it's awesome that they do that. But it's also like for talking, it's very difficult. So I was outside for most of the night, but even then, once the club music started, the wall even on the outside was shaking, and it was even hard to hear. I was losing my voice just from that alone too. But I was outside for most of the night after like the initial setup for it, right around 7:35, 7:45 is when I started to be like, you know what, it's getting way too loud in here. Let me go ahead and head outside because I can't hear a thing. And because of that, because I was towards the side, and because different people were in different locations to try to make it so that it didn't get too crowded inside of the building, because there was numbers limit, and we obviously had a lot of people coming. I was basically sitting down. If you were facing the Red Coconut, I was in the section on the left-hand side where all the chairs were. So that's where I was most of the night. But I got to talk to a lot of people, which was still fun. But yeah, I'm sorry that you weren't able to see me. And again, we kind of had initially thought about utilizing something different, and so I just wasn't. Yeah. Everything was kind of just, that's all I'll say on that. All right, Mikey Dreamer, what's going on, brother? Tag to say, hey, Odin, box office question for you. Are preview showings, fan screenings, and such counted for opening weekend totals or not? Yes, they are. So that's why that Thursday number that you ever see, Thursday it's the premiere. So that number, though it does include Thursday numbers, and most of the time it's just Thursday numbers, if a film has a early fan screening on a Monday or an early fan screening on a Tuesday, Wednesday, those will be included in that Thursday number. That's the premiere. They also are counted within the total Friday number. So again, it depends on how it's tracking. It depends on the site you're using, but sometimes that's also the case as well. So like they'll be like opening day, it got X amount, and they'll have opening day include the early premieres, which would include Thursday, would include everything like that. If you go by the daily chart, the dailies will be, okay, this is the numbers for Friday proper, these are the numbers for Thursday proper, and they'll be more fine-tuned. If they don't go past Thursday, but we know they had early screenings, then that Thursday number also would include those early showings as well. But yes, that's how that goes. Jose Taco, what's going on? Welcome back. Banjo Sandwich, rocking the Hail Mary science guy look. I know, right? It's almost like I was born for this. Let's see. DJ Elite saying, hello, your last live stream video is not listed. Had to list it to rewatch. What happened? Well, the last live stream was the Raven Awards, and guess what? It is still available. Just, again, for sci-fi. Thanks for being a member here on the channel. I enjoyed Project Hail Mary and thought it was a good movie, but I can't say great because of how much of the science they skipped, especially at the end, that shows what Grace faced. Yes, I think that's a valid criticism for sure. I think there's a valid response to that too, though, of the people who say things like, okay, you can only do so much in a movie. You only have about 2.5 hours, there's only so much stuff you can put in without it being a 15-hour movie. And for me, I'm like, well, okay, I'll go ahead and take a 15-hour movie. That's just me, though, right? And obviously, that would just be a miniseries at that point. And they would not be able to do something like that with the budgets and everything they had in mind. I think they did what they could with the science stuff. That is not the thing that actually is frustrating me. That I'm actually mostly okay with. There's a couple other things that really bother me. And again, it's getting into that whole story versus movie stuff. But again, I'll get into it. Kimberly G, Keeling Shout Out Cat. What's going on, Kimberly G? Gandalf 1477. Hello to you. Steven, it's almost Easter. Any big plans? Did you start spring break yet? Dude, you don't pay attention. Yeah, Steven, I'm just gonna skip I'm skipping your comments, man. I'm just tired of repeating myself. You never pay attention. All right, Jenna Wingster, you need to stop talking about inflation every time I see you. We both know if you ignore it, it goes away. Ah, yes, of course. Of course. All right, Prince Green said, I thought Project Hail Mary was pretty good. Not a masterpiece, but a funny, feel-good movie in a time where most movies are leaning towards the dark and gritty is appreciated. Yeah, it's not often that we get a hero that we can root for. And even though there is like this thing at the end where you're like, okay, he's not the hero we thought he was, he still ends up as the hero. And I think that's a beautiful thing to see. Geek True 64 loved. What's up, brother? By the way, wish you could have made it out. Got your message, of course. Wish you could have made it to Megacon this year. Apologies, I wasn't able to make it work with, trying to get a carpool thing together. But yeah, when it comes to these meetups and everything, I'm on my own schedule. As I'm always honest about, I'm an introvert. So it's, sometimes hard for me to be out in those types of spaces anyway. So I like to have control. I like to, maybe it's, I've not been diagnosed with OCD, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's like an element of OCD where I like to be in control of the situation. So it's like, I need to have my car there. I need to have a exit plan. Like those are the things that I need. It's like, and having someone that would be like, oh no, I gotta take this person. It would just, again, so I do apologize that I was not able to make that work. And again, I did have other places that I had to also like go, I had to get places early and everything. So, but yeah, hopefully you can make it work next year. Oh, sorry. And then the rest of the comment. So he says, best theater experience I've had in years. So he saw Project Hail Mary in IMAX. Not as good as The Martian, but still great. Definitely will buy a 4K Steelbook. Nice. Yeah, I only got to see it in a regular screen, but it's definitely a movie I am probably going to try to watch in IMAX while it's still in IMAX. Hopefully there's a good showtime this week that I can make that work with. All right, let's see. Oh, no, that's a comment I'm skipping. Forever Sci-Fi. Project Hail Mary has done a better job with toys than Baby Yoda. They have plushies and Legos for the movie available now. Yeah, again, clearly they were better prepared. They knew the character of Rocky was going to be a fan favorite. They knew that it was going to be a thing that people would want a plushie of. And hey, there were even popcorn buckets ready to go for that too. So that's a sign that you actually know what you're doing. Let's see. Hardwick saying, what do you think of Dana White? And did you hear what Ronda Rousey said about him? I did not hear what Ronda Rousey said. I don't really watch UFC a whole lot. I've obviously seen clips of him. In general, as a businessman, he seems like someone who knows what he's doing. He's very much, the only thing I really know about him is that he's all about free speech, meaning that he doesn't tell his fighters what to say. He doesn't really try to police them in that way either. And I think that if you're going to run a business, that's probably, especially that kind of a business, seems like the smart thing to do, to not step on anyone's toes. Obviously, I would say that there should be limitations on things like that, not from politics side of it, but just, some basic decency, morality stuff. But that's a whole other thing. There's a good reason why I'm not running or plan to have any plans to run UFC or anything else like it. Let's see, Geek Truth. Member saying, I'm actually reading Project Hail Mary now. I wanted to wait and read it after the movie so I could watch the movie without comparison. Bro, yes. So I will say this right now. That's typically my go-to. And the reason why is because, for one, I've always struggled with reading in general. So reading's never been my strong suit. So movies have always helped me have that visual presentation that can then make the books more engaging. For me, not everyone's like that. Some people like to have the imagination of the book first and then have the movie. But every time I've ever tried to read something before watching, it's never ended well. It's never ended in an experience where I've enjoyed both. The only time I've ever been able to enjoy both is just like what you said. And it makes sense too, logically. Because again, when you read a book, you typically create this image in your head. And so when you see the movie, all you can do is compare. All you can do is say, well, that's not what happens in the book. Well, that's not what happens in the book. And oh, this is missing. This is missing. I just don't understand why anyone would want to do that. Again, just from that logical perspective. Whereas for me, if I see the movie first, well, hey, if the movie's really good, I'm going to enjoy the film. And then, hey, I want to read the book. Guess what? That just means I can enjoy the book even more, because then I was like, oh, they didn't have this in the movie, but this is even cooler. Oh, this is even cooler. And guess what? That same first experience you had, that subjective experience that you had enjoying the movie, doesn't go away. So, I regret, I'm happy to have read the book because the book is great, but I'm also regretting it because I do think it is absolutely coloring my vision of and my opinion of the movie. Before I get to General Wingster, I saw there was another super chat, so let's go ahead and get to that. Yeah, XBoot85, thank you once again for a $20 super chat. Dang, son, thank you. Sorry it took me a few minutes to get to you, man, but hey, thank you. It says here, Hagrid's is amazing. 7 launches. Glad you had a good time. Universal has really stepped up their game in overall quality. I think Disney needs to take notice because Epic Universe just opened and it looks amazing. It really does look amazing. Thank you for that super chat, by the way. And I agree completely. I was very impressed by what I saw from Universal. And this has been my experience really every year that I've started going to Megacon, because Megacon itself is a crap show. Like, Megacon itself is such a nightmare in certain ways. The earlier years when Rippaverse was first getting their own booth, and them not realizing how popular they were, and just putting them in spaces that really were not, conducive for the kind of lines that they would be getting. From that to last year's fiasco when they put us they had it for some reason. I think it was because of, double booking, or they had some other event going on in the other larger building. And so having this massive event where you have well over 100,000 people, and it was like dangerously packed, like oversold to the point of just complete discomfort. And I would say danger even. And, I look at that, and then the parking is awful, because it's all these like independent lots that are not really like Megacon mentions them on their website, but they're not really connected. So unless you like pre-buy your spot at a place for $35, $45 a pop, you're not going to really get anywhere unless you want to wait in a line. So I ended up parking at the Point Orlando twice. And, man, both times $35. And they were just they did not have organization for it. They had 2 lanes that were available, but only 1 lane to get in was open. They had people running the machine, so that way you paid them directly. And because people are people, and not everyone has like the tap to pay or the fast pay action, you had some people who were having conversations and everything, but you have basically 2 different lanes trying to get into this one garage. It's a great location because it's close, very close to the convention center. But, oh my gosh, it was just so infuriating. Then you turn around and go to Universal. And whether it's the paid parking or the free parking after 6 p.m., you have like tons of people. They're all pointing you in the direction that you need to go in. They're telling you exactly where to go. It's like a well-oiled machine. And it's fantastic. And, $35 for that, I was like, hey, at least I feel like I'm getting $35 worth. But the trick is, and this is where I had one of my hiccups early on before watching Project Hail Mary. I went to the I went to the Cinemark at Universal, at City Walk, and there's a promo where if you get 2 tickets, matinee tickets, you can get your parking fee refunded. So Cinemark will pay you in cash, $35 or $32, whatever it ends up being at the time. They will pay you in cash for your parking, and you end up saving about $10. Now, for me, I have Movie Pass, And so I was able to use one of my tickets with MoviePass, which is a subscription I'm already paying for, which means my parking ended up going from $35 to only about $10 for the one ticket that I actually had to pay out of pocket for. But I hadn't used MoviePass in a long time, so my card had expired. It wasn't working. Tried to see if I could find a way to get like a digital card. Oh, you have a legacy account, so you can't get one. I then asked the person I was chatting with, wait, so new accounts do get a digital card right away. Is that correct? Yes. And we're working on trying to get legacy accounts, the same thing. Oh, so if I cancel my old account and start up a new account, could you transfer my remaining credits and I get the new digital card right away? Oh yeah. And I'm like, well, gee, I'm glad I figured that out for you. So that just took like forever. It took like 30, 45 minutes. So I was actually 30 minutes late to the movie, which these days means I'm only about 10, 15 minutes late for the movie because of all the trailers and everything. Still enough to where I was like, ugh. But luckily, I was able to still see the movie, watch all of it. Was able also right after the film to go to a nearby screen that had a movie that had a showtime that had just started and got to see the first 15, 20 minutes that I missed. Still ended up missing like the first minute. And then I finally was able to watch. I found that online. I was able to watch the first minute. So I was like, okay, finally now seeing the entire movie. But Universal's so good. I mean, again, well-oiled machine. The parking garage too. It's like, again, you think Nightmare, it's massive, but especially when 6 p.m. is going and they got all those things going on, it's fantastic. All right, Divers 1990 going a little crazy with the super chats. So I will get to those next. Let's see. All right, so Guillermo Gage, who is Divers 1990, saying for a $5 super chat, says I saw Project Hail Mary IMAX 70mm March 13th. Also $2 YouTube chat, character limit is 50. What garbage? Rumble is 200 characters for $1, but Rumble broken sometimes. Yeah, Rumble is broken sometimes. Is what it is. You have less character limitations though if you use the Streamlabs. You can find a link to the Streamlabs link in the video description. That gives you access to there, and I don't know what the character limit is, but I'm pretty sure it's more than YouTube's. So, and plus, YouTube doesn't get any of the Streamlabs money. YouTube takes about 30% of every super chat and membership. But that's awesome. Yeah, I really wish I could have seen it because that Cinemark at Universal has a 70mm showing of the movie, but the showtimes didn't work, unfortunately. So, yeah. It also reminded me, like being there in Orlando, reminded me of of when I lived in New York, where I had so many theaters with so many screens, with so many showtime opportunities, and the format options too. Even in New Orleans, I mean, the theater I worked at, they have the laser screen, like the Dolby Vision screen and the IMAX screen and everything. I'm just like, man, as much as I love my location and I love the seasons of my location, I miss my theaters because the theaters around here are just not great and the options are so limited, amongst many other things. All right, he had another super chat. Thank you for the $2 super chat. It says, yes, indeed, it came out a week early, IMAX 70mm. Cool beans. And then he has another one saying, I read the book 2 months ago and enjoyed the movie lots. I read the book first because my sister said don't watch the first trailer. It has spoilers. Well, thank you for the $5 super chat. And yeah, good for you. But I don't, my brain cannot comprehend how that works. Like my brain does not comprehend how one can really enjoy one more than the other in that order. Because again, it makes a lot more sense to me about why if you read the book first, it's harder to enjoy the movie. Maybe because it was all fresh in my mind. I don't know. But again, everyone's different. Everyone's a little bit different. So it's probably just the way that I'm wired. All right, back to the regular chat. Jenna Wingster saying, was Star Wars Celebration just after your tour through New Orleans with Jeremy? That may have been. It was either right before or right after that. I can't remember which one. Because, yeah, I think the New Orleans, actually, that was the first time I had met Jeremy. Because he actually drove in from the Pensacola area. And then he and I grabbed dinner. And then we drove around the town. Rocket Man had to say Thursday afternoon was the best time to walk the floor. A lot less people. Even Friday wasn't too bad. Yeah, Thursday usually is because there's just so few people there. But then Friday, most of the day Friday, it was more crowded, but it was still walkable. Like it was enjoyable. So, as it got a little bit later, that's when it got a little bit too crowded. But luckily at that point, I was like, all right, let me go take a little break and get ready for FNT and everything else. Saturday is always just miserable. Short says, I think I'll check out the audiobook for Hail Mary since you liked it so much. Oh, please do. Yeah, if you've seen the movie, yes, definitely check out the audiobook. Ray Porter does a great job reading it. And there's, again, just so many other details. And it's not just science details either. That's what most people kind of get drawn to. And I understand because there is a lot of that in the book. But that is just, it's just not, I think, the reason why I really just do prefer the book in so many ways. Okay, and Kareen, what's going on? Welcome back. Jess Pena, tagged to say ahoy to you. Short saying, Jeremy was just talking about your Hook stream the other day. That dancing Vader was great. Yes. Jess Pena, what's up, brother? Chuck may have lost the fight against Death, but Death knows what a fight feels like now. Someone from a Facebook comment. Yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to Chuck. Good old Chuck Norris. Geek64 saying, I did the After Hours Universal ticket last year. It was pretty cool meetup before the meetup. Yes. And that was what's cool about it too, right? Because there was the meetup atmosphere. You're inside of a theme park, and there's just so many options. There's just so many different things that you can do. It's great. After Hours Universal was a lot of fun. It was. I mean, I was there too. So I don't know why we didn't run into each other. I guess we just didn't have time to take a picture maybe, but I was there. Again, at some points I had like a backwards cap on because I was rocking my Criticless cap. And then of course my glasses. I mean, honestly, I could see why the glasses could be enough for. Now I think I had my contacts in for Universal because I wanted to be able to see, and wearing glasses with everything else is just a nightmare, especially on rides. Short. I can't stand crowds, so I only do amusement parks on special private events. We literally run from ride to ride until they yell at us to stop. That's awesome. Brocky Man, I saw you mention Velocicoaster, so I wanted to highlight this one. It says, Velocicoaster is like a roller coaster enthusiast religious experience. Oh, no. I was so close because, at one point, we had just done Gringotts a second time, and I was like, all right, I'm kind of done because those kinds of rides mess my stomach up depending on like where I am. Friday is a meatless day, right, in general, but it's also a Friday in Lent. So for me, it's also a fasting day. So let's just say I didn't get dinner until after I left the Universal Park. I didn't eat dinner until about 12:30 a.m. It was it's pretty late. Luckily, there was a 24-hour IHOP not too far away from my hotel. So that was it was nice to be able to get that at least. And because it was midnight, I was actually able to have some bacon. So that was actually nice too. But yeah, that was a bad idea. That was a bad move on my part. I had not eaten several hours. Then I was doing all the roller coasters. So around like 11:15, the group pretty much was done moving. Jeremy was about to leave. Obviously, people had to get up early for the panel the next day for Saturday. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ride the Hulk because I love the Hulk. Hulk's one of my favorite coasters of all time. I don't like the new theming for it. I used to like how they had a lot more going on, and like you had the whole, I think this time it's gonna work. You had the Bruce Banner voice in there. Now that's all gone, and it looks nice for sure. The renovations look nice, but that special part of it's taken away. I didn't like that change, but I love Hulk. Still a great roller coaster, and so had to go ride that. But on the way, I thought maybe I can go to Velocicoaster. Let me do Hulk first. I did Hulk, and I love Hulk. It's a great ride, but my stomach, again, something about just not having food all day or for most of the day, and add it on top of that, having done Gringotts a couple times and everything. And I never feel that way with rides. And so if even I was like, ooh, okay, I can't do anything else. But man, I wish I had done Velocicoaster now. Let's see. I'll read this comment from Steven at least. Let's see. He says, did you see The Rock's new hair look in Moana trailer? Yikes. I hear it's getting so many dislikes. And yeah, just at this point, it just reminds you, why are you making a live action if you're just going to make it look just like the animation? Oh, that's right. Because you want a cheap And it's not cheap either because they spend way too much money on it. But basically, they have no ideas. They're creatively bankrupt, and they just want to have they want to try to make a quick buck. People are a lot wiser today. Not always, but in general, a little bit wiser. All right. Skipping some comments. Too many. Many of them are a lot of repeats too. Let's see. Caveat Ties, what's going on? Welcome back, Caveat Ties. Glad to see you here. Heartbreak Ridge, who's a member here on the channel. Hail to you, Heartbreak Ridge. Saying, saw Project Hail Mary and adored it. Can't wait to buy it on physical media. Yeah, it's definitely one where I will purchase it on physical media. But I'll get to my thoughts on it in a second. I'll do my box office for it, and then I'll give my review. In fact, I might, if I have time and the mental capacity, I might actually fill out my Criticless review live on stream, because I've not posted my Criticless review yet. Richard Fontaine, come fly with me. Watching over on the Green Machine saying, Odin, I'm with you with Cedar Point, the best roller coaster theme park in the United States. Yes. Themes, not so much there. Not a whole lot of theme going on there. But yes, for coasters, yes, absolutely. Cedar Point, best place to go for all coasters. And yeah, I used to go with the group every year. Every summer, we would go on theme park trips. And we did Cedar Point a few times. And I think it was the second time that we went to Cedar Point, we decided to turn it into a much bigger experience. So we went to Cedar Point. We then drove to either Kings Island or Dominion, whichever one was closer. And then we finally ended the trip with the other one, because there were a couple of really cool rides there. We got to ride like the Beast, which is the longest wooden roller coaster in the world. And it's so much fun too. Like, oh my gosh, that's like one of my top favorite rides too. Rocket Man, tag to say, your disguise might be why I missed you at the meetup. No. Oh no. Micah Dreamer, I heard that John Cena was there. Unfortunately, yeah, he was. There was this huge viral moment there. Did you hear about that while you were there? I did not hear about the viral moment. I did not. Because again, once I'm at the con, I'm there for the panel. I'm there to run into people if I can. But I didn't spend a whole lot of time at the again, especially because most of my time would have been Friday, Saturday. And Friday, I had the Universal thing at the very end of the night. So I didn't really have a lot of extra time. And I was like, if I have the extra time, I'm not going to spend it on the convention floor, because I just, again, late Friday and especially Saturday, most of the day Saturday, it's just miserable. Speed Force 7, what's going on, Speed Force 7? Hail, hail, hail. Micah Dreamer, tried to say, that's what I thought about the count of the opening weekend number. For some strange reason, John Campia says those fan screenings don't count for opening weekend. What? What is he talking about? Now, again, if there is a site that he's looking to, or if he is looking at his own site, here's one of the issues, right? The numbers.com is still down, and it's driving me absolutely insane. It's driving me absolutely insane. So let's see, 3380. So yeah, let me. I'll show you why he's full of it. Okay, I'll prove it to you. I will prove it to you. Now we are about to get into some numbers here, guys, and so you know what that means.
Time to see a real math magician at work.
That's right, everybody. It's time for some math to see a real math magician at work. So the comment from Mikey Dreamer, initially he had asked about, okay, how are opening weekends calculated? Do they include, preview events, things like that? Okay, well, first, there's the comment. Thank you again. He then followed that up by saying, well, John Campia says those fan screenings don't count for this opening weekend. Okay. Here's what you need to know. Looking at the numbers.com. Now, again, the numbers.com, shadow of its former self, because for some reason they're taking their sweet time getting all the data entered in for whatever reason. But as you can see, this is the Wednesday chart, right? We don't have any numbers for Wednesday, obviously. This is the Tuesday chart. This is the Monday chart, right? Those individual days, typically you don't see reporting on fan screenings, fan events on the individual days. Okay? So on the individual days. You jump ahead to Thursday, though, and what we see is $12 million gross. So $12 million gross, and here's your total gross. So this would be your first sign that if they were not counting the number here with the fan screenings, this number of the total gross would be higher, because they would say, here's the Thursday number, 12, and here is the Thursday number plus whatever fan screenings have brought in. Because unless John Campea is saying those fan screenings did not bring in any actual money, again, I would have some questions on that. If that's still not enough, okay, 12 million. This clearly includes not just the Thursday numbers, but also anything that came prior to it. Let's jump ahead then to the Friday. Well, guess what? On Friday, right, you have 33 million. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Numbers.com drives me nuts. All right, let's see if we can try this again. Got to use Box Office Mojo. Box Office Mojo. I hate it. I hate it with a fiery passion. All right, 33 million. Let's see if we can find this again. Yeah, well, anyway, here it shows us the same thing. Okay, so as you can see, they don't have the Thursday numbers being talked about here. Okay, they don't have those Thursday numbers. Why? Because that 33 million includes the Thursday preview. So that tells me that, okay, on individual Friday, if we're talking just about Friday the day, it made about $20 million. But they're including the Thursday premiere, but the Thursday premiere also would be including everything that came beforehand. And again, just like before, again, obviously the numbers.com is broken, but $33 million daily number, that includes your Thursdays, that also includes your previews. Total gross, $33 million. Again, if that Friday number was not counting the Thursdays and was not counting the fan screenings, that to-date number would not be $33 million. It would be more. Okay? All right, let's go and jump ahead. Saturday, it made $26 million. On Saturday, that means its total jumps up to $60 million, right? Seems to make sense. Then you jump to Sunday, it made another $20 million, and that brought it to a total opening weekend of $80.5 million. Well, what's the number that's being reported right now as its opening weekend number? 80.5. So, again, if Campea is saying that, and this is one of the many reasons why you should not even listen to John Campea. He's been a shill for his entire career, and honestly, back when he was on AMC Talk, there were times when he would say things I'd say, bro, what the heck are you even talking about, man? Because again, all you have to do is look at these numbers here, and just by using basic reasoning, you can say, oh, clearly this has to include everything. Because this is what all the sites are reporting is the opening weekend, 80.5. You go back in time, go back in the chart, and you'll see, okay, $33 million, okay. Is that just the Friday number? Is that how much it made on Friday? Well, no, because it had Thursday release, right? Oh, yeah, it did, but that's not being reported here. Oh, why? Oh, that's right, because it's all inclusive here. So, since we have this on the screen, let's talk about it. Project Hail Mary, guys, all right? Sorry I didn't get a box office breakdown video out yesterday, but here's kind of your mini portion of the box office breakdown. Because as you all know, numbers.com is down. That's my primary site because I just prefer it for many, many different reasons. But we have, going to make do with what we have. So for the opening weekend of Project Hail Mary, we had a very impressive $80.5 million. Now, this is impressive because if you go back in time a little bit, all right, let's pull up Box Office Theory, okay? This is something that I'm also referencing in one of my articles, freakygeeksandgamers.com, which I still need to finish. Apologies, Alex, for falling behind on that, but you know why. So the latest tracking that I can look to for this movie, right? And again, there's probably other trackings that are here deeply embedded or behind a paywall or something to that effect, right? This was back from February, okay? So this is over a month ago that the 7-week forecast that Sean Robbins does over on Box Office Theory was already talking about what the likely box office was going to be for this movie. Now, I remember, and again, I can't find it right now, but I think I remember seeing at one point the number even as low as around $35 million for its domestic opening weekend. But even if it wasn't that low, let's go ahead and see, okay, as of early February, mid-February, I guess we could say, what were the projections looking like for Project Hail Mary? Okay, well, guess what? As of over a month ago, he had the projections between $42 and $60 million. That's an average of about 42 $6.5 million in your domestic opening, okay? You now jump ahead and it gets $80 million. So you're looking at almost, depending on what metric and chart you're using, almost double what the projections were. Even the regular shill box office media for this weekend, we're talking, they finally had pre-sales, they finally had some early data, and they were saying, oh, it's going to make about maybe 50, 55 million. Okay, you take that into account, and now it's up to 80. You can see why this is just so darn impressive. In fact, let's go ahead and pull those numbers up, okay? Let's see, are we at the front now? Yes. So even John Robbins tracking, right? He was saying, hey, $60 to $78 million. So even he got it wrong. But again, at least he had up the high end at $78 million. Look at the traditional studio system. This is your trades, right? This is your Deadline. This is your Tony at Deadline. This is your Variety, Hollywood Reporter. These are what the so-called box office experts are saying, right? They're saying, oh, the typical studio tracking for the film was 55 million plus. Okay, a lot of headroom there when you give a number like 55 million plus. Well, technically it's plus, yes, but they put the number 55 million, and that's not anywhere close to $80 million, right? Much closer is $60 to $78 million, but even Sean Robbins, did not get this one quite right. But again, very good to hear that because of the fact that it made as much money as it did. That being said, when you look at this, when you're making an extra $35 to $40 million, okay, that's a massive increase there, right? If it's not double your box office, it's almost close to double your box office projections, okay? That is darn impressive. Then you go to like the weekend totals, and the early projections going into the weekend was that the film was only going to make about $100 million globally. And guess what happens? It's not just making that much money globally, it's making over $140 million globally. You take the $80 million domestic, a $60 million international, you've got yourself a film that's in a very, very good spot. Now, it's not all sunshine and daisies for this movie, though, when it comes to the box office at least, right? If you go ahead and look at these numbers, right? $140 million overall, that's a pretty good number. That's a pretty good figure. But remember, if we take into account what most films do, okay, on average, let me maybe not zoom in as much there. If we take that into account, all right, let's go ahead and say, all right, most films tend to make around 30%, about a third of their entire global box office in their opening global weekend. That's the average. That's what most films tend to do, okay? If we assume that, and again, it's the average, and so it's usually safe to assume these things. If we then take $140 million, we multiply that by 3, because that's, again, rough math here, that would bring your total to about $422 million, okay? So if the film from this point forward has an average run, it'll make around $400 to $450 million. Now that would be a very, very bad scenario because this film cost $200 million. That's, again, the total budget, not including your marketing costs. This is also with your tax incentives already included with it too, which means your total cost is closer to $300 million, which means your break-even's closer to $600 million in the modern day because of how the splits go between domestic and international, and also because we cannot ever forget about those darn marketing spends. So $450 million with an average run, that's a very important key, an average run from this point forward, it's not hitting that mark, right? That clearly would be a flop. As of right now, the film is $231 million in the red. Taking the data that's available and using again, the metrics that we have available to us. That being said, that was, again, assuming it has an average run at the box office, okay? Now, this is the kind of movie that is already overperforming. It's already tracking much better than anticipated. We don't have any legs yet to speak of, right? And the reason why we say is because some people might say, well, we have your Friday to Saturday drop off, you have your Saturday to Sunday. As you saw, both days it made $20 million. And so that's basically almost a 0% drop right between days. So clearly, people are enjoying this movie. You look to the reviews on Critic List, you look to the reviews across the board, overwhelmingly positive. It's been a long time since we've had a solid, most excellent movie over on Critic List. This movie has that, all right? So you have that factor there where it's very popular, clearly has very good word of mouth. The only thing we're missing is, okay, what's the Sunday to Monday drop-off going to be? And then even more importantly, for me at least, and how I chart things, what's that Friday to Friday, weekend to weekend drop off going to be? As of right now, it is looking very good. It is looking very strong. It's looking like it has a very good chance of not just being your typical release. So let's say, hey, maybe instead of a 3X movie, right? Instead of being a 3X movie, maybe it performs a little better than average. Maybe it ends up being a 4X movie. Okay, if that's the case, guess what? You're that much closer to breaking even. Now, for me, seeing all the popularity for it, seeing how it overperforms, I would not personally be surprised if it doesn't perform closer to a 5X or higher. And if it hits a 5X, if from its opening, it makes 5 times the amount of box office, and again, it's not common, it doesn't always happen, but if it were to happen, you get to $704 billion. That means you make your money back. It also means you make a decent amount of profit too. So as of right now, I would not be surprised if this film makes between $600 and $800 million. That's where I am kind of as far as my general feelings are concerned. But again, those are feelings. Those aren't facts. Those aren't data points. I'll be able to make some firm projections next weekend once we actually get the week 2 numbers. Okay, but that's again, don't worry about the week 2 number. I'm just using this column because it's available to me. That's not what I think the week 2 numbers are going to be. All right, just want to make that very, very clear. That's again taking your typical box office, and by the end of its run, usually 3x is your multiplier. That's the average. But this film doesn't seem to be an average movie. It does not seem to be performing in an average way. To give you a little bit more perspective on that too, right? I do have some of these numbers here, like your multiplier from your global opening. So as you saw, Wuthering Heights actually is a 3x movie. I can only imagine below average film. That's why it's a 2.3x film. Now, as you can see, a lot of NAs because, of course, when it comes to the numbers.com, it's down. But we do have these numbers here, okay? So A Big Bold Beautiful Journey is below average, 2.5. The Long Walk actually was an overperformer, made 5.4 times its global opening weekend. The Roses was 3x, Downton Abbey was 3x, Freakier Friday was 3x, Sketch was 3x. The Bad Guys 2, right? A film that the first film had a pretty good down the road performance too. That one did a 5.3x performance compared to its opening weekend. Naked Gun did 3.5. So basically, this is why the average is around 3. Even Elio, right, did terribly, but leg-wise, it legged out better than the average. It did better than the average movie. Materialist, same idea, did better there. 4x for Bring Her Back. Below average for Karate Kid Legends, not surprised there. 5.7x for Sinners, again, one of the most successful films at the box office most recently. Didn't make the most raw net totals, but again, for the film that it was and for where it started off, 5x is a very impressive, again, above average number. Now, typically there is an average number down here, but because of those non-availables, it's not there. But you'll find that, again, even if you just look at the rough math here, yeah, 3x sounds about right for your average, okay? So again, could it do below average? Doubt it. When you're starting off this strong, doing this much better than expected, a below average performance is not very likely. 3x, that's the average. Okay, once again, it's performing better than expected. So it already seems like it's going in that direction with the positive word of mouth added on to that, where this thing is going to do a lot better than expected, which means it's going to be higher than your average. So again, I think between a 4 and 5, maybe even a 6x multiplier is a possibility for this movie. Now again, proof is in the pudding. We'll have to wait and see what the official box office numbers are next weekend, and we'll continue to track that here. And hopefully, as the days go by, we get some updates to the numbers.com's back end and processes where it's able to finally give us the numbers and the data that we need. But as of right now, Project Hail Mary is doing really, really well. It's not out of the woods yet. That's a big number to overcome. $200 million budget is nothing to snuff at. But what's great is that you see that on the screen. You see the budget clearly being used. It's used effectively. And it seems at the very least, as of now, at least for now, that it's paying off with great word of mouth, great reviews, and a much higher than expected opening weekend by a large amount. Again, when you're going from $55 million to $80 million domestic, when you're going from $100 million to $140 million global opening, if you look at the percentages gains there, that's a massive increase. Now, again, we saw something similar happen with some other films this year, and turns out a lot of them did leg out better than the average movie. So don't be surprised if Project Hail Mary sees something very similar. I saw someone online, who's in the community who was trying to say, oh yeah, this movie's going to be on streaming, and so it's only ever going to get to this amount of money. Yeah, if it had an average run, they would have been correct, but as we can see, this ain't your average movie, at least according to our opening weekend. And when we can, again, compare it to the hard data, the early projections, and when you're doing and overperforming to this degree, put you in a very strong position, to say the least. And then some last updates here. Undertone, that's the movie that only cost $500,000 to make. It's made $15.2 million as of the last update. Again, take these numbers with a grain of salt, because actually, is this the most? Yeah. Okay. I was able to update these with the Box Office Mojo numbers. So take these numbers with a grain of salt, because these are Box Office Mojo's reporting. But Undertone is at now $7.6 million in the black. So it's very impressive. Reminders of Him is projected to make some profit. So because this film made $54 million in its second weekend, projecting that film to make between $77 and $108 million with a budget of only $25 million. It means I do think the film is going to make probably close to $10 to $20 million in profit. So we'll continue to follow that here. As you can see, the numbers with Box Office Mojo are not all updating, but the other big news, we already knew that The Bride was a flop, but Hoppers was actually one I wanted to talk about as well. But let me see if I can try to force it to update and load. Sometimes if you do that, there it is. Okay. So Hoppers still has a long way to go, guys, okay? But it has reached $242 million globally. Still means it's $110 million in the red. As of the second weekend, it had gotten to $164 million. So it's still, roughly almost doubling. Like, again, we're still seeing some pretty big increases globally for this film. The big problem for this, just like it is for the vast majority of movies these days, is that budget was way too high for the kind of movie that it is. So again, do I still think the film is going to be a massive flop? I think right now it's still got a long way to go. It's still got a very long way to go. And again, when people are saying, "Oh, it's the biggest opening for a non-original Pixar film on a Friday, on a Tuesday in November," I mean, again, whatever random record you want to come up with. The fact is that it did perform better than expected. Its holds have been insane. I mean, we're talking here about holds in the 20%, 30% range for like 2 weeks in a row. So if we get the weekend chart up here, as you can see, Hopper's 37.9% drop this week. Last week in its second weekend, 36.8% drop. Those are really good drops. They're not the best drops that we've seen, okay? So it's not out of the woods yet. It's got a long way to go, but definitely in a good position. Could potentially break even. It has a long way to go to do that, though. I'm not quite ready to say that's going to happen, but as you can see, multiplier 2.75. It's already close to the average, and it's only been out for 3 weeks. And when you're this close to hitting 3x this early, it means the chances of you hitting like 4x, 5x is much more likely to happen. And that's basically the average, too, for these kinds of movies. You look at films like Elemental, for instance. Even Elio, right? Elio was a flop, right? Elio was indeed a flop, but it still did 4.3x, right? It still did 4.3 times its opening weekend. And if we were to take that into account, let's go ahead and maybe do a little bit of, potentiality here, right? If it's able to do, let's say, even just 4, okay? You take and say, all right, what if it does 4x its total box office, right? So let's put that in, and then let's put a 4x multiplier there. Now, again, this film is trending much better than Elio was. So the chance of it doing better than 4x is likely. But if that were the case, that would put it at $352 million by the end of its run. And that would still be $352 million, would still be far short of the box office needed to break even. Now, again, it's tracking in a way where I think it's going to do better than Elio's 4.3. 5x very likely for the film, I think. And if it hits that, now we're talking about the possibility of it actually theatrically breaking even and maybe even making a little bit of profit too. So want to give an update there, and everything else is basically the same. I don't think there's been any other major changes, but let's head back into the chat. And after I catch up with the chat, we'll finish with my review of the film. All right. Here's a little box office breakdown for you guys. Again, apologies I wasn't able to get that done last night. Okay, let's see. All right, Jeremy Zakowski at 8 o'clock says, Confrontation was one of my favorite rides at Universal. I would ride it 5 times a day, and I would never get bored with it. I was deeply depressed when they retired that for The Mummy. Yeah, I mean, I'm remembering that ride now, because as I said, for many years, we went almost every year. That's the one where you were like in like the tram, like the hanging tram, and then, you know, Colin would come and like grab the tram and everything. It was fun. It was fun. What I will say is that it's one of the few times where the ride that replaced it, I think, is better. And again, I'm not trying to take away the enjoyment of the original ride and the kind of magic of the original ride, but The Mummy is legitimately and objectively a great ride. It's one of the very few. Like, they replaced the Back to the Future ride. It has all the same structure and bones of the Back to the Future ride, but they changed it with Simpsons. That was not a good change. Back to the Future is infinitely better. Infinitely better than The Simpsons. But yeah, that was one I actually did appreciate, because I actually do like The Mummy. Forever Sci-Fi, I'm hoping there is an extended cut available in the future. Yeah, me too. As I said, though, the issues I have are beyond just what they left out as far as like science stuff. All right, Guy. Goodness me. How was your break? I wish they made Rocky a surprise in the movie like how it was in the book. Yeah, I wish they had done a lot more with the reveal in the movie. Because yeah, there was a lot, like, again, not just sciencey stuff. There was a lot of stuff they left out of just that initial interaction too. Harwick says, Rousey said that Dana White is killing UFC by vastly underpaying his fighters to the point that they have to take on second jobs to have a living wage, which is causing the good ones to leave. Well, my question would be, if it's true, are the fighters who are at the top of the cards complaining? I don't know. Living wage, again, I'm Catholic. I think Catholic social teaching is pretty clear that businesses have to provide the best that they can for living wages. But that's not just the businesses. That's also the culture. The culture needs to cultivate laws and a society where that is prioritized, where that is, you know, to be desired. Kimberly G, I agree with you about reading after watching. With so many Games of Thrones characters, it helped me picture the characters as I read it. Yeah, again, and I know that that's the one I can understand why some people would disagree, because people want to create their own version of the character. I get that. But yeah, I mean, that's something that has always helped me. But I still do, of course, just really, really hang on to, no, you really should watch it first, then read it, because then you can appreciate both. There really is, in my opinion, right, only one way in the other direction, where it's like, okay, this is never going to live up to the book, and now I really love my book, but now also I can't stand this movie. I'd rather enjoy both than only one, right? Two's better than one. By the way, Geek Truth, sorry it took me a while to get to this, but Geek Truth, thank you for the $5 super chat. Saying here, all good Odin, book before movie always. Books have time to build the story and your imagination, so movies rarely live up to what you pictured. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's a good way of being able to enjoy both. That's what I think about that, at least. By the way, if you're watching, smash that like button. Share this video out as well, if you're having fun. Let's see. Hardwick, in your opinion, is the audio too loud in theaters these days? What? No. I usually have the opposite problem. IMAX is loud. I mean, that's just... My favorite complaint was always the older, usually older ladies, who would come out of the IMAX screen, and they'd be like, it's too loud. Can you turn it down? It's like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. I don't know. I turn into like Jerry Seinfeld sometimes. Usually happens when I'm driving, where someone's just not turning. What are you doing? You gotta turn. Like, again, I can't really do the voice right now because it's so just dead. But like, that's in my head how I sound. What are you doing? Come on. Get out of the way. It's like, but that's why you buy the ticket. Frank G, what's going on, man? Justin C. Hail. Sorry I'm late. I remember seeing Jurassic Park as a kid and then reading the novel later on and ended up liking the book slightly more. Still love the film, though, just not as much. Again, but you can still appreciate both. Hardwick. How expensive is your local theater? Mine charges $5 per ticket except on Tuesdays when they're $2. Popcorn is $6. Drinks are $4, but both come with unlimited free refills. Bro, you are lucky. Most people, the vast majority of people, do not have that. So cherish it. Go and visit them often. It sounds like a local chain to me. That does not sound like your typical like AMC or Regal, to be honest. Maybe it is, but it doesn't sound that way. Again, those prices tend to be very standardized across the country. Maybe it's market based. But yeah, I only have AMCs and Regals near me. And so it's like a minimum quote matinee ticket these days around me. I think it's closer to $10. I know that's how it was in Florida, at least. It's been so long. And again, I typically don't see the ticket price because I have AMC A-list, so my movies are technically free. And then I usually try to go to like the IMAX, or we have the LIMAX, right, which is called the AMC version of it's called Big D. It's so bad. It's so terrible. But that's been my only experience though with that one. And so I typically don't see the price though, is what I meant to say. But yeah, that's a dream, dude. Cherish that theater, because if that one goes down, it's like, Justin C. Your plan on seeing Ready or Not 2, here it's kind of a rehash of the first film, so that's the point. Yeah, I heard that too, so I don't really want to watch it anymore. Because the first one, when I was like, I didn't love it, but I was also like, oh, there's some parts in there that were kind of fun. But if it's just a rehash of the first one, it's like, well, I'll just watch the first one again. Brocky Man saying, AMC buying the local theaters have really reduced the quality. I miss the rave. Yeah. And again, I used to work for AMC, and in general, there are a lot of AMC theaters I really do like. It's just that they don't have good quality control as a company. If you have a good GM, you're in good hands. Like the GM I work for was awesome. He was always on top of things. He had our tech guy was in the theater at least once a week testing the bulbs. Like he was making sure that those screens looked great. He was making sure that those bulbs were not dying or on the brink of dying. I wish I could say the same thing for some of my local stuff. Thanato is saying, The Princess Bride and The Last Unicorn, the movies were better than the books. Micah Dreamer, there's an IMAX 70mm screen in Nashville at Regal, but it's all the way out at Opry Mills, so it's not close for me. I tend to stick with my local AMC that has regular IMAX and Dolby. Oh, I see. Again, I'm jealous. I have an AMC 20 in my town that has IMAX, and that's all it has. I don't have any Dolbys near me, unfortunately. And we have like the Aquarium IMAX, which sometimes gets movies, but I don't think they have the 70mm, unfortunately. Yeah, basically, I'm between Nashville and Atlanta, and those are way too long of a drive for me with kids to be able to make any realistic show times work. That's why I was like, why are you going to watch a movie when you're like on vacation? It's like, well, actually, this is like the few times when I actually have the ability to go see a movie if I want to. So it's like, hey, I actually get to see a movie. I hadn't gone to the movie theaters in months. Again, so much so that my movie pass card had expired. Harburg, Chuck Norris actually died 20 years ago, but it took this long for Grim Reaper to work up the courage to tell him. That's good. Hopelessly Persistent, welcome. Glad to see you in the chat. I inverted that message, movie before book. Yeah, I was wondering, I was like, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure you said the opposite just then. Jose Taco, which Zendaya film wins the box office this year? Dune, Spider-Man, or Odyssey? Spider-Man. Dune is going to be big, but Dune has a ceiling. We've seen that with the first two movies. There's only so much money that those films can make. Odyssey, I would say same thing. Because Nolan films, as successful as they've been, if you really look at the numbers, they're not the biggest films ever made. So, he's got a guaranteed audience. Like, he's got look at Tenet. Tenet came out during COVID. It had terrible sound mixing, and it still did, like, for a movie of that time, it still did really, really well. And again, because that Nolan audience is very strong. Now you add in the fact that it's a very classic story, and there's obviously, I think, controversy around it. I mean, there's a lot of attention being put onto it. But Spider-Man... Look at the last Spider-Man film. Gangbusters box office. And it was a week after we were told, oh, well, the reason why Steven Spielberg's remake that no one asked for of West Side Story flopped was because of COVID. And no, it actually turns out people just wanted to have a movie that was going to give them what they wanted. And then it had one of the biggest openings ever and, went on to make billions. So yeah, Spider-Man, I think, has a much better chance to make the highest for sure. Then it goes, when I was younger, my family got stuck riding the gondolas. Wow. Harvick, are you familiar with Snarky J? She's a YouTube critic and cosplayer, kind of like Anna the Star Wars girl, and was at Megacon too. Yes. I'm terrible with names, though. So this could be someone that I've actually had conversations with, but because I'm terrible with names, I wouldn't know. But yeah, the name sounds familiar, though. I know that much. Guy 6799 saying, for Project Hail Mary, they basically open on 313 for 70mm location. Gotcha. Mr. Roy says, I just picked up both movies in the P.O. Box. Thank you. Hey, no, thank you, Mr. Roy, for being a chosen of Valhalla member and for always being so supportive, man. I'm glad they came through. Prince Green, could Mario impact the legs of Project Hail Mary? Most likely not, because it's not the same audience. Much more of an adult audience for Project Hail Mary. Again, you have some kid crossover maybe because of, like, obviously you look at what they're doing with the character of Rocky, and you can see how that could be a way to bring kids in. But it's not a kids movie, right? It's not really being made for kids. It's not even really being made for families. But it's also safe for families in a lot of ways too. So yeah, I wouldn't say that. But let me see what we have coming up. It's kind of crazy that we're that close. So this weekend we have basically nothing coming out. We have a re-release of The Mummy returns. They Will Kill You, Forbidden Fruits, the AI doc. Not a whole lot. So it's going to be first at the box office 2 weeks in a row. I think that it's going to be a very easy number ones finish for that movie. But then the following weekend, which is Easter weekend, it's Super Mario Galaxy movie coming out. Early release, though, because it's coming out on the 1st. And so that means it's opening up on a Wednesday, which means you might have showings on the 31st, on that Tuesday. So that one's going to have an extended opening. So, yeah, it's going to be in IMAX then, too. So it looks like Project Hail Mary is going to be in IMAX at least one more week, based on what I am seeing, at least on the numbers.com's release schedule. And again, if they have another deal with someone else, I don't know. But yeah, it's going to cut into it, but because the audiences are not the exact same, and you all know this, I say this pretty much all the time. People always like to say, oh, well, this movie had IMAX tickets, and that's why. It's like, well, no. Having the IMAX tickets can help. But if your film is successful, it's because it's successful in every area. Okay. So Project Hail Mary can still be a very successful financial movie without being on IMAX for 3 or 4 weeks. Again, would those IMAX tickets help? Sure. Anything where your base ticket price is higher is going to help you. But if you have the IMAX tickets, but you don't have the ticket sales anyway, okay, it doesn't matter if you have those IMAX tickets because, yeah, you got more money than you should have gotten, but you also just had less people going to see it. So you kind of have to have both for it to have the highest impact. And even if you don't have it, Harwick, how much was Milana Weintraub in Project Hail Mary? She's the AT&T girl, right? Not much. Geek Truth. E.T. Adventure is the last remaining ride from the original Universal theme park. Rumor for years that Spielberg makes them keep it. Yeah, it was closed when we went, but I think it's for like renovations and stuff. But yeah, it's one of the last ones. I'm trying to think about, you might be right. That might be the very last one. I feel like there might be some smaller stuff. Did they finally close like the Indiana Jones stunt show? Actually, no. There was one. It's not been there since the original park, but it's one of the older rides there. It's not even a ride; it's an experience. It's like the animal one, where it's like the animals doing tricks. Prince Green. I guess they kind of had to put Rocky in the trailer since he's such a significant part of the movie. It would have been a cool surprise, but then the trailer would be misleading. Prince Green, though, I agree and disagree. One, it is a good marketing tactic for people who do not have knowledge of the book, right? Because then you're like, oh, look at this cute little character. But had Christopher Nolan not made the movie, but cut the trailer, I think he could have found a way to make it work. Because one thing that Nolan's usually very good at with trailers is giving you just enough to have you interested without telling you anything. Prince Green, the worst feeling is when I read a book I like, and then the movie is not how I imagine it being. The new Animal Farm, for instance. Great example. Geek Truth saying, I have 5.1 surround Klipsch speakers set up in my home theater. It sounds better than a regular movie theater. Regular theater sound is pretty bad. I have to watch IMAX to get better sound. Yeah, usually it's like, if I don't get to see an IMAX, it's probably not going to be a very good experience. Yeah. Harwick, the theater in my town is not a part of a chain. It's a 2-screen local theater that started as a stage theater in the 1930s. Current owner bought it in 2024 and lowered all the prices. Yeah, dude, take advantage of that, man, because in this economy, I don't know how much longer that can last. Wow. Very lucky. Harvey that says, I still maintain that they should change the name of Big D to Double D. Gosh. Print screen. I've been to the Dolby Cinema before. On the one hand, it's awesome. On the other hand, the headrest on the recliners irritate me. I mean, I've always enjoyed them. Let's see. Guy saying most AMCs now have laser. Now they don't have to change the light bulb. Yeah, that's very true. Not the ones near me, unfortunately. Yeah, I did notice that. It's been a while since I've worked at a theater. But yeah, that was a change that started going into effect not too long ago. Hardwick, the theater also has free children's movie screenings in the summer. It's older movies like This First Despicable Me. That's awesome, though. Luke Zilla, what's up, man? Hardwick, my mother and I went to the theater together to watch Epic Elvis Presley in concert. It's pretty good. Nice. God bless you, Speed Force. Thanks for stopping by. Luke Zilla, Ted say Mario Galaxy. Michael, Devil Wears Prada 2, going to be much needed boost for theaters. Well, we'll see about some of those. Mario Galaxy is going to be massive. Michael probably will be big, but I don't think it's as guaranteed as people think. And the Devil Wears Prada 2, same thing. It's been so long since the first one. I don't know how much guaranteed money there is. It says, really hope Hail Mary has some good holds in the coming weeks at the box office. Love the movie. And again, I think that it's popular enough to where it'll hold very well. Because again, it's going to have the IMAX screens again this weekend. Unless, again, there's something out there I don't know about. And then next week, of course, Super Mario Galaxy is going to be there. But I think if you look at the Easter weekend, I think, and I would not be surprised to seeing that weekend. So again, Super Mario Galaxy opens that Tuesday, Wednesday early. And then on that Thursday, Friday, you've got the drama and A Great Awakening. And that's basically it. So Super Mario Galaxy is going to have the top spot at the box office for a bit. And there's no major new releases coming out between that time and I wouldn't qualify Lee Cronin's The Mummy as a major release. But not until Michael, April 24th. So Mario's going to have a long time at the top spot, but also that means there's not going to be a whole lot of competition for that other segment of the movie-going population, which are likely to say, you know what? All right, kids, you have fun at Super Mario. I'm going to go see a real man's movie. I'm going to go see this one instead. Or I'm going to go see the adult movie, and I'm going to go see Project Hail Mary instead. I could totally see that happening. All right, we're way over time tonight. I do really want to review the film. But anyway, Geek 64. Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular is part Disney. Okay, gotcha. Not Universal, still around there. Okay. Yeah. DJ Elite. Steven, I'm bummed you skipped my question. I have good questions. And no, that is not true. And again, I'm not going to be reading your questions that you're now repeating from the time that you just said it before. If I actually thought you would listen to the answer and actually remember the answer, I would totally answer it. But you asked 20,000 questions, many of which have either been mentioned already on stream, mentioned in a previous stream that you've been a part of, or something else to that effect. Okay? So, yeah. No. Frank G. Howdy. I only have Regal or Cinemark near me as well, and no Dolby or IMAX. Yeah, just IMAX, which is part of the AMC near me, and that's sadly about it. Let's see. Gandalf. Yeah, it's getting late for me. Print Screen says, yeah, kids, I'm going to see the Real Man's movie, The Devil Wears Prada 2. No, Print Screen, don't do it. All right. Let me go ahead then and pull up Critic List real quick. And I'll give my quick review of Project Hail Mary. La, 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 la. There we go. All right. So as you can see on Criticalist right now, this film is doing really, really well. Okay, 2.5 hour movie, 76 voters, 87% most excellent score. Brief overview. Science teacher Ryland Grace wakes up on a spaceship light years from home with no recollection of who he is or how he got there. As memory returns, he begins to uncover his mission, solve the riddle of the mysterious substance causing the sun to die out. He must call on his scientific knowledge and unorthodox ideas to save everything on Earth from extinction. But an unexpected friendship means he may not have to do it alone. Directed by Lord and Miller. You've got Andy Weir, obviously, who wrote the novel, just like he was the writer on The Martian, right, of the novel of The Martian as well. Screenplay was primarily, though, by Drew Goddard, who, of course, is also very well known, very good at adapting different stories. Overall, when it comes to Project Hail Mary, all of the technical elements for this movie are there, okay? Cinematography is solid. Score is solid. The acting is solid. Again, not everyone's perfect in their roles. The woman who plays Strat, for instance, I don't think she fit the role very well, but that's a whole other thing I'll get to in a second. But for the most part, the characters and the acting is solid, is spot on. The visual effects are beautiful. Some of the best visual effects I've seen on film in quite a long time. You can tell that every cent of what they spent on this movie is visible to you on screen. You can tell that the puppetry that they used on the character of Rocky was clearly done in a way that was very competent, right? You felt the character and the personality. It reminded me in many ways, right, of what they were able to do in even the show Wednesday on Netflix, right? Where the actor that was the hand that played, Thing in the Addams Family storyline was able to emote with just so little like real estate, right? In the case of that, it's just literally a hand. In the case of Rocky, it's a rock spider. I mean, again, the fact that they were able, like the puppet, whoever the puppeteers were for that puppet, that they were able to convey so much emotion and so much character and so much passion into that was very impressive to see as well. So as you can see, when I'm thinking about this movie objectively, just looking at those very clear objective elements, it has all of those pieces and all of those parts. The problem that I have with this movie is, again, we've heard this before, I've been kind of hinting at it all stream too, is that it's not the book. The problem, though, is not that it doesn't have enough science. People usually bring that up first, okay? But honestly, the issue is that it doesn't have enough of the story. It mentioned right there in that, and there might be some spoilers. I'll try to avoid as many as I can, and I'll mention there's only one, I guess, kind of spoiler, but it's more of like what a character is like in the book versus what the character is like in the movie. So I don't know if it's much of a spoiler there, but, just to kind of give a forewarning, okay? But when you are looking at the way in which he wakes up from this coma, right? There are so many details, not just in how long it takes him to actually like wake up from the coma and figure out where he is. And again, you can only do so much in the time that you have, sure. But there's other things that are a part of that process of him remembering where you're much more clearly seeing someone who is suffering from amnesia. And there's a reason why he's suffering from amnesia. That's, again, a point that's not actually talked about in the movie and is kind of glossed over. And so to me, it's more so about different key, what I would consider key details in the story, whether it's the very beginning with his waking up, figuring out who he is and all the steps they have to take for that. I think they could have had it be, because I don't think the visuals actually helped much, but this would be a situation where I think it would have benefited from what you had in that very notorious cut of Blade Runner, where you had the voiceover. This is one, though, where I think it would actually fit because the book is all from the perspective of Ryland Grace, and you hear his thoughts throughout the movie, right? Rather throughout the book. So it actually would, in the movie, in the translation of the book to the movie, make a heck of a lot more sense if you actually had that type of voiceover for it. It's funny because in the audiobook for it, every time Porter is doing the voice for this character, all I could do was actually picture Ryan Gosling in that role. it fit the personality type that Ryan Gosling is very typical of playing to such a great degree where I was like, yeah, this guy's perfect casting. And even though he's perfect casting, because of these elements being left out, I honestly think it kept Gosling from embodying the character as much as he really could have. So people, again, I think get caught up a little bit with saying, not enough science, not enough science. It's like, look, I agree. I think that there could have been many more steps in all the different scientific discoveries that would have made a lot more sense. It would have helped the narrative of the film also feel a little bit more cohesive. And this is, again, one of those issues that comes up when you read the book first, is that when you have these parts being skipped, it makes the story feel incomplete. It makes you feel like, but you skipped this part, so this part doesn't make as much sense. Or you skip this part, and how is anyone going to know that this is the thing? Or, well, wait a minute, you just changed this completely, and so how does that make any sense? I don't like that change. And that's one of the issues, right, that comes up, is when you read a book first, there's so many more things to compare it to. With all that being said, this is where it's, again, kind of a spoiler, but not really a spoiler. It's more about a character and how they are presented, okay? But there is a character in the movie that I think is nothing like the character from the book. And it was so distracting, and it honestly kind of ruined the movie experience for me. And it's the character of Strat. Strat in the book is not Strat in the movie. Strat in the book is abysmal. She's awful. She's cold and calculated. She has to make all of these different decisions that are clearly because she's like, oh, we have to do anything and everything to save the human race, and so therefore I don't have time to be nice. I don't have time to try to coddle you. I don't have time to try to do things the right way, right? She's all about saying, hey, I'll probably get arrested for the things that I'm doing right now for saving the world, because people, if I save the human race, they'll have the time to do it, right? But that's who she is. But there's a point in the movie where, and again, unplug your ears if you don't want to know anything about her character in the movie or in the book. But there's a point in the movie where she sings karaoke. And so my immediate thought was, what the heck is this? The character of the book would never have done this. Ever. She is a complete ice queen in the entirety of the book. And yet, that moment happens. So they make her not nearly as much of an ice queen as she needs to be, as that character is presented and made to be in the book. And so it makes you hate her, especially when you find out certain things about what happened to Ryland Grace's character and how he got to where he was. And you don't have that same hatred, though, in the movie. And so for me, I just was like, no, this is a very big thing in the book that is a part of the character development also of Grace. The decisions that he makes at the very end are very much in light of the things that are done to him and the character of Strat throughout the entirety of the book and of the novel. That, to me, I think was just more than enough. So that's why, again, I'll do a full, I'll do a type review a little bit later. But for now, this is the reason why throughout the entire movie, I was like, I'm really tempted to give this film a decent score. I'm very tempted to give it a decent score. But because, again, it's so hard for me to separate the objective from the subjective, that's, again, why it's like, I'm just reminded why I should never read a book before watching the movie. Those technical elements, though, are still great. Rocky steals the show, is phenomenal. Puppetry's spot on. The effects, spot on, is great. There's some stuff with his character, too, that they kind of gloss over, and it, again, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's something that's supposed to happen to Ryland Grace in relationship to Rocky that they skip over too. And again, I know you can't cover everything, but the thing about Strat is such a big change and a big difference that for me, it drops it. So I'm going to give this film a rad score, though. Those objective elements are still very good. It doesn't have a whole lot of language. It, I guess, has a little bit of violence. Luckily, not a whole lot of political bias. In fact, there's more political stuff in the novel than there is in the movie. Right, there's actually a part in the novel where there's a mention of climate change, for instance, amongst other things. But there's also a time when the person, Strat's being called out for like racism and stuff, and then she's just like kind of like get over it. So it's like, okay, that kind of is nice to see that. No real nudity or sexual stuff. Again, there's, I guess, the there's talk about it in the book, but there's really not anything there. And again, if I'm missing something, let me know. Family friendly. I would say it's pretty family friendly. I don't remember the language though in the movie, so that's why I'm going to put that as a maybe, because I don't remember how harsh the language was, if at all, because in the book, there's this whole dynamic of him not cursing and he's trying to figure out why he doesn't curse. But entertainment value, it's definitely there. Not as entertaining as I wanted it to be, though. And again, it's because for me, it not being the book was very distracting. So more to come. I'll probably put the video up there too. So yeah. Anyway, that's my score. 60% rad score. Still a rad movie. Even though I feel this way about it, I still think you should go see it. I still think people should go see it because, as I said, the reason why I feel the way that I do is because I read the book first. So the fact that I'm even self-aware enough to say that, it's like, okay, I highly recommend that you watch the movie first and then read the book because it's, again, really, really good. All right. I guess I can get to one of your questions because this one actually is one that I want to talk about because I've mentioned this on other streams, but not here. Does high trailer views always mean box office success? Heck no. This is one of the mistakes people are making, right? Whenever Jeremy drives me crazy when he does this, okay? He's like, it's the most watched trailer in 24 hours. It's like, that doesn't matter. The Rock has the most followers of any person, and guess what? He has made several flops. Black Adam was a massive flop. Even a film that is well made, like The Smash Machine, was a flop. Just because you have followers, just because you have views, does not mean a dang thing. It does not equal going and spending money on it. Just because there are films that have had trailers that have been successful, that have made money, does not mean that trailer views equal success. Okay? So, yeah. Coliseum Builders, I agree. I definitely agree with you there. Again, there's a whole section, right, of figuring things out. I mean, they gloss over. So, again, so many character developments and the relationship specifically between them, they could have put into a montage. If they were cut for time, they could have put it into a montage, but they didn't. Micah Dreamer, I love the character of Carl. He didn't have much on screen, but he made the most of it. Definitely. Yeah, I definitely appreciated that character a lot too. Geek Truth, I'm only on chapter 4 in the book. The setup is great in the book, but just doesn't work for a movie. Some great humor in these first few chapters, though. Yes. A lot funnier than I thought it was going to be. Luke Zilla, I feel that Dune will probably hurt Doomsday between the two. Dune 3 will be a lot better quality-wise. Yeah, but here's the thing. And as I said, right, audiences are one thing, right? If you don't have competing audiences, it's definitely not a factor. But I've always been the one to say, I don't think competition hurts. If that were true, Barbenheimer would not have happened. But guess what? Barbie made billions of dollars and Oppenheimer made a crap ton more than it should have. So clearly people can see more than one movie. The question is, ultimately, is the movie any good? And is it good enough for people to actually go and spend their hard-earned money on it? That's what we need to ask. Coliseum, the singing part was one of the worst in the movie. It was awful. It was awful. Prince Screen, singing karaoke, I think, was improvised. Sandra Huller is apparently a very good singer, so it was added to the movie. And it was a terrible decision because, as I said, it did, I think, the worst thing you could have done for that character. And again, I could hear the argument being like, oh, but it humanizes her. But she's not in the book. She's not human. She is an ice queen. She is someone you hate, not someone who sings karaoke. I don't like that. No, I think it's bad. Coliseum Builders explains why you like Dune. Exactly. And actually, no, come to think of it, Dune may have been, maybe that was like an in-between one where I both read it and watched it, or I read some of it. Yeah, I had read half of the book and then saw the movie. So that's why I think I ended up enjoying it. And then but yeah, Dune 2, on the other hand. Geek Truth, I read Ready Player One twice before a movie was even announced. The movie is barely recognizable. It's dumb popcorn film, and they changed key characters and stories completely before the book. Don't even get me started Ready Player One. The movie's garbage. The book is so good. And yeah, same situation. That was I forgot I had read that book first too. But yeah, movie's actually that's a film where in the case of this one, right, Project Hail Mary, the film's at least objectively well made, right? It's got objectively good elements to it. Not the same thing could be said for Ready Player One. There are so many issues and flaws with it, but yeah, as far as an adaptation, it's garbage. Print screen. Actually, there's been a push to make Doomsday a Barbenheimer-style meme. The problem is you can't force it. Remember the last time Hollywood tried to force something? Or at least one of the last times they tried to force something? Remember when, naturally, there was the whole... oh my goodness, Morbius. It's Morbid Time meme. And what did Hollywood do? They said, oh, look at all these clicks on social media. This is huge. Let's re-release it. Nobody saw it. It's free to see a clip online. It's free to retweet. It's free to repost. It's all that stuff. Doesn't mean you're going to spend the money on a movie. Hardwick. The book Ready Player One was terrible. Spielberg toned the flaws down in the movie. Hardwick, you are completely wrong on this. That's a terrible take. Hardwick, usually you have some pretty good takes. That is not a good take at all. The book is a damn good time. I don't know what... I don't know if you listen to the audiobook and you just have an issue with Will Wheaton or what, but completely wrong. Anyway, I'm well over time, so I'm going to have to stop it there. Thank you all very much for watching tonight. And yeah, Ready Player One. Project Hail Mary. Again, very, very good opening weekend. Very, very strong box office. I think it has the potential to be a 4, 5, upwards 6x movie. Which means it'll either lose a little bit of money or it could make its money back and it could make some profit. It's going to be hard to see. Obviously, we still have a ways to go before that happens, but it's in a very good spot at a very good starting point. And as I said, I think it's a movie that people should see. Even though I have issues with it, I'm honest and say, you know what? My issues are because I read the book first. And I think that the things cut from the book are not just time, but key character elements, key character moments, and then changing a character in a way that I think really does a disservice to the original intent of that character. But again, there's definitely elements of subjective elements to this, which is why, again, I try to separate objective from subjective. And that's why in my score, I think it's a rad movie. I think you should watch it. But I also would say, if you've seen the book or read the book before, there's a high chance that you'll have a lot of problems with it, like I did. Not guarantee, but I think likely. And if you haven't read it yet, watch the movie first. Seriously, I know people say that's heresy to do, but I think it allows you to enjoy both. Go see the film, support it. It's not often that we get good movies. It's not often that we get well-made movies. So I think this is the kind of film that should be supported. But then after that, go ahead and read the audio. Go ahead and read the book. And I would even recommend the audiobook because it's very well done, very well presented. So anyway, that's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Divers1990. Obviously, I haven't had time to add you to the shoutouts video at the end. I still haven't been able to make the March shoutouts video because just, again, the last 2 weeks have been insane. I thought, oh yeah, my week off for spring break is going to be so productive. And it was just, again, so much that I was not still able to do. So, apologies for that. But obviously, as a new Keeper the Bifrost member, I will shout you out. And then also a shout out to Matt317. I know that he there was an issue where he wasn't a member and he still is a member. So shout out to Matt317. Shout out to his Twitch channel as well by the same name, Matt317. So I just want to make sure I got that in there too. Everyone else should essentially be the same. But if you are not listed at the very end, I do apologize, and I promise I will do everything that I can to get all that fixed. But that's going to be it for me. I need to rest my voice now. I love you guys. Here are our shout-outs. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Go see Project Hail Mary. Blessed Passion Tide. We're close to Palm Sunday, close to the end of Lent and Easter. And you guys are awesome. I love you guys. God bless. And now for a special shout out to all of my Chosen of Valhalla members, starting off with Father Luca Illich. Hail to you, Father. Miss Martin Muses, check out her YouTube channel of the same name, Miss Martin Muses. And also to my YouTube member of the Chosen of Valhalla family, Mr. Roy, longtime supporter here on the channel, as are the others. If you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, please make sure to sign up over on Patreon, Subscribestar, or here on YouTube and sign up for that Chosen of Valhalla level. There's also other levels that will get your name shouted out in list form. You saw those names just beforehand. You also, if a Keep It the Bifrost level, get access to a giveaways channel that I host over on my Discord server, amongst a plethora of other things. And make sure to check that out in the link in the description below. You guys are all amazing and beautiful. Have a wonderful rest of your day. A blessed, blessed season of Lent upcoming. And as always, God bless.